Chapter 192. Part 3 of 5. We didn't really get very far, only ending up at the Europe party in Germany. I'm actually kinda surprised we ended up here, too, I said. I didn't really think anything too formative happened here. You are a focal point for change, Reason said. Even things you consider unimportant nonsense side quests are major life events for some. Whenever you affect someone's life, you should take time to reflect and consider whether your actions were wise. And to consider what you gained from it, Pride said. Not much in this case, given that I gave most of the gold away, I said, finally turning around. This time, I had Fear, Pride, and Reason as guests. So, what kind of major life event did I cause? I thought the trip was fairly uneventful, for the most part. You mean aside from the attempt by Pyrite to induct you into his horde? Reason asked. Or getting the most kills and tying for victory in the tournament, Pride said. And we mustn't forget capturing one of the most powerful criminal kingpins on the planet, Fear said. Followed by several of his immediate underlings, of course. Plus plenty more besides, Reason said with a nod. This is when Shining Armor realized that his kingdom wasn't all rainbows and glitter. And it's when you decided to leave, once and for all, Fear said. And it's when you finally decided to forgive Pinky. I guess it was quite the trip, wasn't it? I ask. I even got to meet my kitty again. And I kinda sorta got a dragon girlfriend. And then after this tournament, you got your own house, Reason said. Sure did. Twilight kicked me out because I finally pushed enough buttons. The new pad was glorious. Being able to fuck Doppel whenever I wanted was a super great bonus, too. She was much easier to put up with than Twilight and let me do all kinds of weird things to her. It sounds like we have quite the itinerary this time. We don't have memories for all of them, Pride said. But we put together a pretty decent spread. Put together? I slowly said. What, did you think these memories just found themselves? Reason asked. Someone has to go through them and pick out the topical ones. I figured it was all part of the magic, I replied with a shrug. We're part of the magic, so it is. Now, are you ready to begin? Sure. Pride was first up to bat. One of his claws bopped me right on the nose. Are you paying attention, Cot? The world suddenly came alive around me. Cot was with Jocasta and Rock right outside the place I was staying. Cot's head had obviously been in the clouds and Jocasta didn't seem too happy about it. Or are you too busy thinking about getting your paws on that human again? I knew he would find his way back to me. And even better, now I get to help save him. If you can pay attention to enough of the plan to get any of it right, Jocasta said. Even Rock is listening. I always listen to briefings, Rock said. I just usually decide to go with my own plan. Your plan is always to just smash everything, though, Cot said. Hasn't failed me yet. Well, you aren't derailing this one, Jocasta said. Nav isn't safe here. If Cot can't convince him, you'll help make sure he can't turn down our generous protection. Not that it'll be an issue, Cot smugly said. I have that little Tom wrapped around my claw. Are you sure that's how it's going? Rock asked. It seems like it might be the other way around, Jocasta said. How long did you mope after he left last time? I never stopped. The thought was intrusive enough for me to know it was coming from Cot. Only a month or two. Well, you'll have him back in your arms soon. Don't screw it up. While you're in his room, the king wanted you to see if you could find anything of interest. Particularly, a diagram of that crossbow of his. I'll see what I can do. Is there anything else, or can I go? Go. Jocasta continued talking, but Cot was already walking away, no longer paying attention. I followed behind her, since the memory didn't seem to be ending. My heart is pounding. My mind is soaring. I've been able to think of nothing but seeing him again for so long. And now I finally get to help him. When she got into the building, it didn't take her long to find my room. I'm not sure how she knew which one was mine, but it didn't surprise me that she went right to it. She tried knocking first. About a minute later, she pulled out a set of lockpicks and had the door open in seconds. I can't believe their security is so terrible. She let herself in and quietly eased the door shut behind her. Thankfully, I could walk right through it. As soon as she was secure, she slipped her tools away and walked over to the table with the letters. She grabbed the one from the dogs and Celestia's, then walked into the room I shared with Pinky. The whole place already smells like him. The first thing she walked up to was the bag next to my armor, ignoring the crossbow. She opened the bag up and started digging around until she found a shirt. It honestly shouldn't have surprised me that she lifted it up to her face and moaned in pleasure at the smell, but I guess I'm not completely jaded yet. Oh, his scent is so right. What is it that draws me so? When she pulled the shirt away, she started to tuck it into one of her bags, but stopped and continued digging around instead. She finally found a pair of boxers and grinned, stuffing them straight into her bag. That's going right into my special box. With her sick desires temporarily sated, she walked back over to the crossbow and picked it up. So heavy. I can't believe he carries it everywhere. But also very, very lethal. She set it down and pulled out several sheets of paper. The memory skipped and she was suddenly putting a complete drawing away. When it was secured, she grabbed the crossbow and moved it to the other bed. With it out of the way, she fell into my bed and took a big whiff. Nope, hasn't slept in it yet. Well, it'll smell good in the morning when I'm done with him. Since that wasn't getting her rocks off, she walked over to the armoire and opened it. That's where all my human weapons were, which immediately drew her eyes. She picked up a mustard gas grenade and tossed it into the air a few times. This is obviously something he manufactured. There's a pin in it, so pulling it likely does something. But from all the warnings he wrote all over it, I can definitely tell I shouldn't do it. I'm sure he won't mind if I borrow it. That comfortless thought in mind, she grabbed it and a few of the other devices. Before she could continue rifling around, the door in the other room opened. Kot immediately closed the doors of the armoire, then her eyes darted around the room. They finally settled on my bed and she grinned, jumping onto it. I just know he'll be so happy to see me. That ended the memory, kicking me back into the greater memory. For the record, I was not happy to see her, I said. I'm sure the spanking you gave her was all the evidence she needed, Reason said. If not, the talk Pinky had with her after probably did the trick. Are we gonna get to see that, too? I ask. We are. It's a part of this one. Reason poked me in the belly and the memory picked back up outside of my room, with the crying Kot on Pinky's back. This really wasn't very smart, Pinky said as she started trotting down the hall. Trust me when I say that Nav really doesn't like ponies poking into his things. You can also trust me when I say that he really detests rapists. So, he's spoken of me. Nope. He doesn't tell any pony anything about what happened in Egypt. I read his journals, though, so I know he absolutely hates you. And I watch him sleep enough to know that he wakes up in a cold sweat pretty often. Well, used to. He stopped after the brain leech got him. And then he asked me to stop watching him sleep, so now I can't tell anyway. Be brain leech. Stay away from Navarone, Pinky very bluntly and coldly said. For some reason, her super cute flat hair made it seem even more menacing. I'm his best friend forever, so if I find out you're even thinking about touching him, I'll immediately tell the princess and her guard captain, who both know full well what you did. We're all watching you like hawks, only waiting for an excuse. So give us one at your own peril. They were finally somewhere public, so Pinky bucked Kot off and then kicked her while she was falling. That ended the memory, so I assumed Kot ended up knocked out. Given that her pants were currently down to her ankles and Pinky left her on full display, I'd say that might have been problematic. Man, mares are crazy, I said, shaking my head. And I guess mares caught by my human aura are even worse. Could it perhaps be that you drive them crazy? My guide asked. Not your status as a human, just your overall personality. I'm an annoying person, but I managed to get raped within, a year of my arrival. And one of the princesses was all over my hot bod before the second chapter was over. There's being annoying and then there's being cursed with a super unwanted crazy magnet. It has its upsides, Pride said with a shrug. You got laid all the time at the festival. Yeah, and Celestia essentially raping me in her heat was one of them. My crotch ached for a week or so afterward. Which is lucky, because I had a relatively easy week. I could go without all the unwanted attention. Anyway, what's the takeaway from this one, other than that both of them are crazy? You must always remember that others perceive you very differently from how you perceive them, Reason said. Kot missed you the whole time you were gone and was so excited to see you. She was completely and utterly baffled when you were upset. And after everything you've done for Pinky, of course you're one of her best friends, Pride said. Trusting her to handle Kot was unwise, given what she knew. You're lucky Kot survived the encounter. What the hell do you mean, lucky? I ask. That means I have to put up with her now. If that is how you feel, why don't you just get rid of her? Reason asked. Because I'm utterly terrified of turning someone like her loose upon the world. With her new curse, she could get to anybody no matter where they hide. She has no morals, no inner compass, and I'm pretty much the only thing keeping what's left of her sanity in check. The only way I'd feel safe without her by my side would be to kill her, and I'm not going to do that. It seems unwise to keep those who are so crazy around. Kot is kept in check by Cascade, I said. I'm considering asking Luna to become a host as well. I'd feel safer trusting her with someone pure whispering in her ear. Now that all of the elementals have been fixed, she has her pick of the litter. That would be wise, Reason said. Perhaps you should ask them to submit to reconditioning, so to say. It would help fix their crazy entirely instead of just keeping it in check. I already said no to that. My answer hasn't changed. So, the takeaway here is that my pull is strong enough on these people that they like me even when they probably shouldn't. I'm starting to form a theory. Put it into words, Fear said. I think this pull is how the humans plan to control all the species should I bring them forward in time. It is possible if they somehow knew about it, Reason said. If it is true, you have a choice to make, Pride said. Help the humans regardless and hope they don't eventually betray you once they reign supreme. Try and find a way to remove this pull before you help them, or don't help the humans and keep your advantage. Even if I don't help them, I want to find a way to get rid of this. I'm tired of being a crazy magnet. When I get out, I'm telling everyone. Between Twilight and Luna, I'm sure we can find a fix. Are you sure giving away such an advantage is wise? Reason asked. And more to the point, are you sure telling everyone is wise? You have already seen what some have done because of this pull. Do you think Kot or Taya would react well to knowing their affections are artificial? Probably not, but I won't lie to them anymore, even by omission. These memories have shown me what this curse of mine is capable of causing. Everyone must be aware of it so that they can begin fighting against it. Let's do the next memory. End of Part 3.